Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Continuing to take a look at the next week's slate, heading out to the Big Ten as Ohio State heads on the road to play the Wisconsin Badgers. And Dale, there's been a lot of noise about the Ohio State offense and it coming together and can they get the run game going? I'll say it right now, this defense is next level good. And we kind of talked about it in the offseason. You look at the roster and the talent on the defensive side of the ball. Most of those guys that are playing on Ohio State's defense will be playing on Sundays in a year or two from now. It's a loaded group that really seems to be coming together year two under Jim Knowles. The Ohio State offense, I have a feeling will figure itself out, but this defense, they're going to be able to win games and be a national championship contender with how good this defense is. And you look at Wisconsin, new quarterback, nice win against Illinois. Really excited to get into this one. Before we do, just want to say thank you to you guys. And it's such a blast doing all these game breakdowns, but the amount of support y'all have shown, it really does mean a lot. So one, if you do enjoy the content, you want to support the fellas, consider subscribing to the channel. More importantly, let's hear your thoughts, comments, picks, predictions, keys to the game in the comment section. Dale, going to give you the T-box here. Ohio State heading on the road to Camp Randall. How are we feeling here?
You talk about it. Feels like an Ohio State team that will probably be led by this defense to an extent, and it's great. That's not a bad thing. Like, they're playing at such a high level, and you look at, again, the issues they had last year were giving up big plays. I can't really think of any real breakdowns or anything like that they've had all year, and they've played some decent explosive offenses. Notre Dame has been able to hit a couple big plays on teams. Maryland's been able to do it and really very much limited that type of football, and that was the one thing that kind of shot them in the foot last year.
The narrative around Ohio State's defense, like being a liability last year, was ludicrous. Like, it just had like box score watching, and I get it. Like, some fans, like, you don't watch every single snap, every single game. You look at the box score and see some of those numbers. This Ohio State defense, from a down-to-down basis, was really good last year. And you're right. Like, one thing that bit them in the butt was some broken plays, some big plays they give up. They eliminate those. And this is why this defense has played so good. Dylan, I'm just going to read off some stats here. Absolute ludicrous numbers here. And I'm not even an Ohio State fan. Like, I'm actually not an Ohio State fan, but I got to shoot it straight here. 10.5 points per game, number 3 in the country. 3.8 yards per play, number 2 in the country. Only giving up 3 yards per carry to opposing offenses, number 10 in the country. All that talk about Ryan Day's defense being soft, not the numbers. The secondary, 49% completion percentage to opposing quarterbacks, number 1. 4.8 yards per pass, number 1. Secondaries, Ben Nails, Dill. This Ohio State defense matching up against this Wisconsin offense that really has struggled to get it going with whatever quarterback they've had back there.
And you just see they're playing a complete game. I mean, I think Penn State's offense is going to take a bit of a beating, especially the playmakers and the quarterbacks. But, like, honestly, you look, they just had the clamps on them all game. They didn't give up anything. There was not much Drew Allar could do, and they're just receivers, tight ends. Nobody could go win their one-on-ones. Like, you just look, Ohio State across the board better at every position on defense versus that Penn State offense. And then the big thing for me that Ohio State, I think, showed yesterday was the ability to consistently stop the run. And it's not like they hadn't, like, been stopping the run. They've obviously
that was the narrative. That was the narrative heading in.
There were a couple moments against that Maryland team that you saw them hit some gashes, get some creases. I was very impressed by that defensive line, and I thought they were resetting the line of scrimmage, but not getting out of their gaps. I thought a couple times against some of the other teams like Maryland and frankly against Notre Dame, their defensive line would try to jump in gaps, and they opened up some creases. I was very impressed with, especially Ty Hamilton. I thought that's as good as I've seen him play, resetting the line, and there was really no creases except for one possession I can think of that Singleton rattled off a couple nice runs, but that was it all game.
When you give up 1.9 yards per carry to a Penn State offense that is the identity is to run the football, one of the best offensive lines you'll see in the country, that's good. 18 of 42 for Drew Allar. Like, nothing really was working. And Dill, you said it, the front seven playing really, really good. I thought JT Jack Sawyer probably had their best games of the season. In the back end, you're losing you don't have your All-American cornerback in Denzel Burke. Jordan Hancock, Jermaine Matthews, Josh Proctor at the safety position has been playing phenomenal football. Like, you look up and down this Ohio State defense, there ain't many holes, and there's a lot of NFL players. Now, looking at this Wisconsin offense, the Phil Long, like Luke Fickell comes in, Phil Longo comes in. Oh, we're going to air it out. We got Tanner Mordecai in the transfer portal. They're still wanting to run the football, and quite frankly, that's where they're having the most success. I mean, Braylon Allen, 704 yards on 5.9 yards per carry. This is a Wisconsin team that, yes, they will spread you out a little bit more. They'll make you respect the passing game a little bit more, but make no mistake about it. Like, where this Wisconsin team wants to move the football is on the ground here.
And frankly, Wisconsin needs to like do a better job, in my opinion, of just not having those 1 yard runs or 0 to negative yard rushes. I think, again, they've hit some big plays in the rushing attack. That's why the numbers look really good. But I think Wisconsin fans would probably agree. If you look at how they played against teams like a Washington State or an Illinois yesterday, too many yards or too many rushes that just go negative or don't go for more than 3. If they keep doing that, it does put a lot of strain, I think, on what this offense is trying to do. And you can tell they're still like kind of in a transition period, if you will, where I don't think they have totally established identity. Again, they want to spread it out, and I think they have to going forward. But I do think right now you're seeing, some growing pains, frankly, and I think that was to be expected. And the quarterback play obviously hasn't been up to snuff.
I couldn't agree more with you. Not only the growing pains, which again expected, but the consistency of this offense is just kind of hit or miss. You know what I mean? Like, there's way too many negative plays, 3 and outs, where they're just not getting drives put together. They're not stringing a lot of positive plays together. I guess that's what you say. They've hit some big plays, which is nice, but from a consistency standpoint, like, it hasn't really been there. And the passing game hasn't been great. Now, you're seeing some wide receivers emerge. DK, a guy that we've talked about, really good. Will Pauling had a nice game against Illinois. From a down-to-down basis, they just haven't really been able to get much going. Now, taking a look at the flip side of the ball, this Wisconsin defense has been really good, right? 18.3 points per game, top 20 in the country, only allowing 4.7 yards per play, top 25 in the country. They are solid at kind of all facets of this game. The one part that I'd be looking at is Wisconsin getting after the passer, and I think they've really struggled to replace guys like Keanu Benton and Nick Herbig as those elite havoc makers in the backfield. I think that's hurt this Wisconsin team a little bit on the defensive side of the ball.
And frankly, if you're going to go up against Ohio State, that's been the one weakness, I think, that you've seen teams being able to attack and make some plays. Obviously, Penn State was a whisker away from having a sack fumble. That would have obviously changed the trajectory of that football game. So if you're going to go play this Kyle McCord or Ohio State offense, that is very much the recipe. If you can get after him, that's when you can make him uncomfortable and have some success, as Penn State showed, as some of the, frankly, Maryland showed for parts of that football game. But again, that is probably the issue, is Wisconsin hasn't necessarily shown they have that guy. And it's like the defense has been good, but they don't have that like NFL JJ Watt, TJ Watt, like those guys they've had come through Wisconsin who have broken through and been great. I don't know if they have that guy on the defensive line right now.
Yeah. And you look at this Ohio State offense, I kind of want to dig into this a little bit. It's not been the juggernaut Death Star offense that you've seen in the past, right? I don't think Kyle McCord, I think, is still getting better. And I think you're seeing him get better. That being said, not Justin Fields, not CJ Stroud right now. Ohio State wants to run the football, right? And they just haven't really been able to do it. My take on it is, do you need to run the football? I think Ryan Day has been a little bit too, I wouldn't say the word obsessed, but he wants to run the football, wants to have a balanced offense. I'm not sure if he just wants balance or doesn't trust Kyle McCord. But Dale, at the end of the day, you look at your playmakers, like they're on the outside. And you see when Ohio State needs a play, you go to the best player in college football. And this offense be a top 5 offense in the country? Not sure. It's going to still be a damn good offense because you do have a guy in Marvin Harrison Jr. You're going to get a Mecca Buka back, Travion Henderson back. Although this offense,
I think Joel Klatt made a good point. It's like, this offense maybe isn't clicking the same way, and Kyle McCord isn't quite at the level of probably the last 3 quarterbacks. At least he hasn't shown that yet, and that's not really a slight at Kyle McCord. They've had 3 excellent quarterbacks, so it's not like he's necessarily shown anything bad. He's really gotten better about putting the ball in harm's way. You really didn't see him make any dangerous plays against Penn State, so he's done what he needs to do. But I think you're right. Ohio State does have 2. I think you could argue Caden Stover's kind of getting in that range of just an absolute weapon of a guy who, when you need a play, he's making it. I mean, that catch over the seam when he's just like mossing that guy in Penn State, that's like such a big game-changing play. And he's making those plays. Marvin Harrison, we all know that. And frankly, for the run game, I think when they have Travion Henderson, it's a different animal. Ryan Day kind of was talking, we didn't pop any big runs. Well, when you don't have Travion Henderson, it's harder to pop big runs because Henderson, on a couple of those like plays where there's a bit of a crease, in a Mayan Williams or Chip Trainum doesn't take it like to the house, Travion Henderson, he
houses him. You won't find a bigger Travion Henderson fan than me. Like, it's just last year, like 12 months ago, maybe 18 months ago, start of the 2022 season, I said there are two elite running backs in the country, Bijan Robinson and Travion Henderson. What you saw from Travion Henderson as a true freshman, when you see of Travion Henderson when he's fully healthy, he is a game-breaking running back. I could not agree with you more. Once you get him back, you're going to see a few more of those chunk plays on the ground pop off. And once you get a Mekabuka back, Carnell Tate probably kind of playing into his own a little bit. From a weapon standpoint, this Ohio State offense is going to be just fine, but they're going to lean on the defense. And when you're going on the road, playing a Wisconsin team, defense, good defense, travels, and that's why you feel good about this matchup. They'll get into the pick here. Wisconsin hosting Ohio State, night game, Camp Randall State in Madison, Wisconsin. It's going to be rowdy. Who are you taking here?
I think I just like Ohio State, and I think Wisconsin's shown some good things. I think their secondary's obviously played very well, so I like that matchup, especially if they can kind of slow down Ohio State's passing attack and make them a little one-dimensional. Maybe they can kind of get some things done. I just think right now the way this offense is playing, very inconsistent. Again, just as I kind of said, you're in like a major program overhaul transition, and it obviously is coming with some moments where you're like, I don't know if they want to run it, don't know if they want to pass it. They're not doing either consistently enough. And for that reason, I just think Ohio State, when you have a defense like that, I don't really see how Wisconsin scores that much.
I'm with you. And again, in years past, you look at this Wisconsin team, but hey, maybe they can keep it close, play a little bit physical, slow this clock, kind of limit the possessions, and kind of implement their physicality. I don't see Wisconsin implementing that physicality against
Ohio State can play similar up front as they did against Penn State, where they just, again, resetting the line consistently and not giving up any, hitting a lot of runs for 0 to negative yards. That's such a dangerous Ohio State team because you know how athletic they are in the back end and how skilled they are. And again,
you're not going to see a team. You're not going to see a team Michigan's the only other team where it's like, oh, could you bully? If you don't get bullied off the ball by Penn State, you're not getting bullied off the ball by many other teams in the country. Ohio State showed they got them guys in the trenches. I'll be rocking with Ohio State too. I think this Ohio State team, quite frankly, is just going to continue to get better, especially on the offensive side of the ball. That defense just playing with more and more confidence. Give me the Bucks on the road here again. A Wisconsin team that it's hard to have a lot of confidence in right now. Appreciate y'all rocking with the fellas again. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later.